Gun Sports Radio is sponsored by Love Radio Network.
Welcome to Gun Sports Radio, all about shooting, hunting, and self-defense. Now, here are your hosts, Dave Stahl, Lance Pelkey, and Michael Schwartz.
Life is so strange when it's changing, yes indeed.
All right, folks, I usually listen to the whole song, but we have got so much news to give you right here at Gun Sports Radio, show 134, if you can believe that. Hey, folks, go visit our website. We need to have you smack it a few more times. We need some more numbers. Just go to Facebook, Gun Sports Radio. If you got comments, concerns, maybe you don't like the way we dress on radio, whatever your concerns are, feel free. Plus, we got Stump, the Nephew. And if you can stump the Nephew at the end of the show, you can get yourself some bad-looking SD Bingo County gun owners shirt. Thanks to Michael Schwartz.
We got a good question for him this morning.
Yeah, I bet you do. And this segment's brought to you by the only gun range in town you should be going to, the Gun Range San Diego, 7853 Balboa Avenue in San Diego. Join their exclusive club, and the benefits are galore. Just go to the gunrangesandiego.com, find out all the benefits by joining up and being a Gold Ring member.
Gold member, yeah. I was there Saturday, so I'm a Gold member.
You live there.
The place is packed. Some guy walks up to the gun counter, and he says, hey, I go to another gun range, and it's kind of getting tired there, and the people are getting grumpy, and I'd like to talk to you guys about memberships. And I just perked right up and said, hey, I'm a Gold member. He goes, what's that? And I said, well, you get to cut that big line right there. Watch me. And then you get 2 cleanings a month or whatever the case may be. And they call my name as almost as soon as I walked in there, man. I was shooting, rooting, tooting fast.
Nice.
Yeah, Gold member.
Well,
like $500 a year or something like that.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah. I mean, heck yeah. Are you kidding, folks? So seriously.
Yep.
And if you're a first-time shooter, do not be nervous. Don't be all afraid that they're going to be there are some ranges out there that if you're not a professional shooter and, you dragging in a dead raccoon, then they're not probably going to talk to you. Go to Gun Range San Diego. If you're beginner, middle, professional, Olympic gold medalists, they will take care of you just like family.
Bring your buddies in on like a Sunday, Monday.
Bring your wife, your girlfriend.
Tuesday night, it's just fabulous.
In fact,
what a great time.
I wouldn't watch the Oscars tonight. I would go shoot.
Absolutely. That's a great idea.
I thought you would like
that. Next year.
Yeah, we ought to have
That's a great idea.
An Oscar shootout.
An Oscar, like at the range?
An Oscar shootout. And we could have the pictures of the movies, and we could shoot at the movie and see who's going to win, whoever gets the most bullet.
Oh, we could do we give our own Oscar awards, like best shootout.
We could have
most accurate.
Great idea, Dave.
Exactly.
Although John Wick would probably just.
And all of our trophies would be Newski's sausages.
Yeah, there you go.
I noticed you didn't bring one again. Where is your wife? Where is that woman?
She's making Newski's for
I bet she is, you rascal.
Newski's brats.
Hey, folks, that's the Gun Range San Diego. Just go check them out. All right, so we had a little experience today. I mean, we had a guest, no guest, open guest. What do we got?
Oh, we got big news, Mike.
What do we got?
I'm turning over to Mikey.
We do. I wish it was better news, but on Friday there was a press release that went out from Todd Gloria's office. Mm-hmm. Todd Gloria is an assemblyman down in San Diego. He was on the city council, and he's now a candidate for mayor as well. So Todd was also the one who last year put into, it's now required by the state that you have to have 8 hours, including live fire, in order to get your CCW, which is odd because it was already required to have 8 hours with live fire in order to get your CCW throughout the state.
That's what I thought.
So he's clearly doing things, I think, for 2 purposes. One is to, paint gun owners as dangerous.
Sure.
And 2, I think he's trying to whip up votes for to be mayor. He's trying to out anti-gun the other candidates because he feels that that's something that'll get him elected in the city.
Do you actually think that that's going to get him elected? I mean, with as many gun owners that are in this town, and we're talking Republicans and Democrats, does he really think that that's...
Well, I got to tell you, I think that he looks around and he sees that there are some very, very active anti-gun groups. And, if you don't have pro-gun folks beating on the door and saying, hey, we have rights and we have opinions. And,
yeah, we do.
We
San Diego County gun owners.
If that doesn't happen, if in other words, if our side isn't as passionate as the other side,
Right.
what's he left to believe?
Yeah, you got a point.
So they're banging on his door and saying, "Hey, this is what we want you to do." So here's what he's done. He had a press conference on Friday to introduce AB 893. And to sum up AB 893, it bans gun shows, not in the entire state, but just on the Del Mar property that the state owns, the fairgrounds in Del Mar.
So you can have this show anywhere else, but not Del Mar.
There are, and they have it on, fairgrounds in Orange County, in Ventura. They, across the state, up and down the state, there are state-owned property where they're having gun shows, but they're only banning it in Del Mar.
Yeah.
Well, is there that big of a benefit by having the show at Del Mar?
Well, the only benefit, so there's a couple things. And by the way, by just banning it on one piece of property, I think that they're conceding the fact that they're safe shows.
Well, of course.
That they're legal shows.
Yeah.
And they're really just focusing on, hey, this is a culture we don't want in our society.
It's just
or they found an agricultural board that doesn't want guns, and the other fairgrounds have no problem with it.
Yeah, but it's like if someone doesn't like cats and they don't want the cat show to be there.
But maybe Pomona does.
Right. But it just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make
so.
sense.
But I think, a lot of times, part of the argument that they were making, or part of the statement, was about how it had to do with crime and safety. Well, if there was some kind of connection between the gun show and crime and safety, why are they allowing it across the entire state? Well, they've completely lost that argument. So the plan is to ban gun shows on Del Mar. So why not just walk away? Well, we're looking at other properties, but it's frankly, if you need 60, 70,000 square feet of usable space and you need 1,200 parking spots, where do you go?
It's a public space. It's a legal enterprise. There's no reason not to have it there.
There's no reason not to have it. And
there's no reason.
It's exactly the venue that's how it's supposed to be used, is these different shows. So again, what he's doing is it's an opportunity for him to say, hey, you know what? Gun owners are bad people. Gun owners are dangerous. Gun owners are criminals. And it's not that we have any statistical evidence or any kind of proof that crime's being committed, because if they did, they'd ban it statewide. They're just saying, hey, this culture, these are bad people. They're undesirable. We want to kick them out of town.
Same old.
And it is. I actually, in my statement, the press called and said, hey, do you have a statement? And part of my statement was saying that, hey, Todd Gloria is basically, positioning himself as a modern day George Wallace or Bull Connor. And a lot of, I actually had a reporter say to me, well, who's George Wallace and Bull Connor? Which, oh my gosh. But, George Wallace and Bull Connor.
At least he asked. At least.
So they, really, they, of course, were, in Alabama during the marches, Martin Luther King, extremely racist policies. And there's really very little difference between what's going on with gun owners in California and the other struggles that other, minority groups and LGBT groups have had to, go through. This is a civil right. We're practicing civil rights. We're law abiding. It's we're a benefit to society. And what do? They paint us as dangerous, and it's all about the children.
Well, they can't go after the criminals. You know how hard that is, and what they might shoot back.
Yeah, really.
At least we know these law-abiding gun owners are not going to shoot at us, so let's go after them. I mean, because the criminals are criminals.
Right. They've been we've been the kicking. Folk, bad guys for long enough now.
Yeah, for long enough. And, everybody, unfortunately, I think there are a lot of people out there listening right now that think, well, take them to court. Just take them to court. That's the solution to every problem.
That's not the
solution. And it's not. It's not the solution. They've tried this in other places with varying degrees of success. But, a court case is a Hail Mary. You can't just go to the Super Bowl and say, don't worry, guys, fourth quarter, 2 minutes left, we're throwing a Hail Mary. We've got to, do the work it takes and stop the stuff. Make the phone calls.
I just had a great idea. You ever been to OTL?
Yes.
On Fiesta Island?
Right.
Rent yourself a big honking tent and have it like a beach experience.
Yeah, well, we're looking at a couple different areas where there would be a big tent. We actually have talked to some vendors.
And Fiesta Island, it's an island, so their security there is like nobody's business.
Yeah.
You only got one way on, you only got one way off. You can put 375 cops at the entrance exit. You can do whatever you want, and it'd be a fun place. You could turn it into a beach event.
Right. We're looking at a number of outdoor venues.
Yeah.
Some of the indoor venues, but none of them fit quite like Del Mar.
Well,
unfortunately,
but they're grumpy.
Well, they are grumpy.
And who wants to hang with grumpy? I don't want to give. In fact, it's so funny that ever since you got on this, the gun show, I stopped going there. I don't shop there. I don't eat there, and I love the fish market.
Yeah.
But I will not give them a red cent. And I think everybody else should. And if anybody says anything, say it's because you don't support my Second Amendment rights. It's just that simple.
You shouldn't. When the government when the government uses their power to
manipulate,
oppress, people that are doing nothing more than exercising their civil rights, you shouldn't support that.
I know. So let's take a break because now I'm angry. Right here on Gun Sports Radio, FM 96.1 AM 1170. You can listen to us on iHeart. You can download the free app. You can go to the computer. There's no excuse. And if they take away your guns, we don't want to hear about it because you weren't listening. We got to act right here on Gun Sports Radio. Folks, hey, welcome back. You're listening to Gun Sports Radio right here on FM 96.1 AM 1170. We are the answer. Hey, how can you make your AR rifle legal and keep your features? Well, if you want your AR to have a pistol grip, telescoping stock, foregrip, and still have a detachable magazine, check out Cali Key. Whether you're buying a new AR or need to make your current AR compliant, Cali Key has all the answers. Cost-effective, easy to do, future-proof all your ARs from all these horrible California gun laws. Go to CaliKey.com, K-A-L-I-K-E-Y, K-A-L-I-K-E-Y.com. Oh, how much protection do you have? What would you do if you got pulled over and a police officer found out you had a weapon, and even though you have a CCW? Well, you know what? You could get arrested. Then what? Who's going to take care of bail? Who's going to get you a lawyer? Well, guess what? We have just the answer. FirearmsLegal.com. For less than $10 a month, you can get 24-hour, 7-day a week, 365 days out of the year, total protection. And you might even get our next guest coming up, John Dillon from Gatsky, Dillon and Balance, LLP. Trust me, don't get yourself in any kind of trouble. And for less than $10 a month, you can be totally protected. That is firearmslegal.com, firearmslegal.com, 469-310-9100. All right, hey, we got John Dillon on the line. How you doing, buddy?
How's it going, guys?
How you feeling?
Surviving. The whole family was knocked out this last week with the flu. So everyone's on the mend now, so that's a good thing.
Well, we're glad to
well, then you must have nothing but good news for us today.
Unfortunately, as per usual, I'm going to be bringing you some bad news. Essentially this. So there is a number of new legislative proposals that have been introduced. They haven't been officially read yet, but they are on the table, and they will become new gun law proposals very soon. Right now I have 5 in front of me. Just right now, I'm probably only going to talk about 3 of the most atrocious of them, but you should all know that they are horrendous now, all of them. So don't think that just because I only named 3, that those are the only things you got to worry about. There are a large number of very restrictive, very unconstitutional laws that are getting proposed in California. So let me start it off. Right now, the first one, which is just a crime on humanity, is AB 879. Essentially, this would change the law to treat all 80% lower receivers, complete AR upper receivers, unfinished handgun frames, would all be considered and classified as firearms under California law. That means background check, 10-day waiting period, can't be selling parts or buying parts and shipping them to your house. And essentially everything I named is not a gun. All federal law and basically every state also agrees with that. California is just trying to limit, now the parts that you can buy for your gun. So if, the way it's worded, it's so vaguely worded when it comes to components of certain categories of parts that very easily, if you lose a spring or a D10 pin or something along those lines, you may be required to go get a background check in California before you can buy another one.
Ugh. Did you hear that?
That's number one.
Yeah.
The implications of this law go well beyond 80% lowers. This is something that is going to affect, the little parts, that are absolutely necessary for a firearm to function. But, just the way they worded this law, it's going to be scary. And you guys, as listening on the first segment, to rely on lawsuits to fix all these problems is not going to cut it, because even if you win in a crazy liberal circus court like we have in California, that's going to take, anywhere from, 5 to 10 years per case.
Hey, John.
Especially if it's appealed.
Hey, John, how would they enforce that?
Well, they would enforce it just like they would enforce the firearms restrictions. If you went to your FFL, they would essentially mandate that the FFL require a background check before you buy a 80% lower or an AR upper. Notices obviously would go out to the other states and online stores that they cannot sell certain parts. And it would essentially black out the market for online retail. A lot of retailers would just essentially pull out of California altogether, I'm guessing, because they don't want to inadvertently violate this convoluted, BS law. So,
John, without serializing, like for example, an upper, how do you think that would work?
How do they track that?
Yeah.
Again, California does a lot of things where if you try to approach it rationally or logically, it makes no sense. We have a bunch of representatives that don't use, logical thinking, and that is a great point. I don't know if they're going to then start trying to mandate that all these things get serialized before they come to the state. I have no idea.
Well, they don't really care. All they want to do is jam up the works. They don't really care whether it's right, wrong, or if there's any logic to it. It's just if we keep throwing mud in the middle of the road, pretty soon no one's going to be able to get through.
Yeah, it's essentially they're trying to deter, like I said, they're trying to deter people from selling these parts, from offering these things for sale. And by having, criminal liability, regardless of whether or not they can, properly enforce it, you don't want to be that random guy that they just choose to enforce it against. I think that threat alone will cause, like, a good example. Right now, there's a lot of dealers. You go on certain sites like gunbroker.com where you buy online and they ship it to your FL. Most sellers on that site will not sell to California, not because the gun is illegal to sell in California, just because they don't want to deal with the red tape and the crazy amount of restrictions in California, so they just don't sell to California. So it's going to probably have that realistic, reality effect where just people are going to stop selling certain things in California.
So, John, the bill keeps using the word precursor. Like it says that they're banning precursor parts to firearms. Does it define what they mean by precursor? Is it really is that broad that any kind of pin or whatever or
spring?
Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially it states a precursor part is a component of a firearm necessary to build or assemble a firearm included in one of the following categories, and then it states, 80% lower receivers, and it names all different types of receivers made from every material you can think of, complete AR uppers, and that's the big one. So if it's a component of an AR upper, there's a lot of little springs and, the gas tube, gas block, gas block key, BCG, charging handle. There's all sorts of stuff that are in an AR upper receiver. Are those all now going to be classified as firearms in and of themselves? I have no idea. It's an insane law.
Do you think it'll go through? Do you think it'll pass?
We have Gavin Newsom as governor. I would be shocked if he vetoed it.
Oh, he won't veto it. No, there's no doubt about it. But you think it'll get through the trail, as they say?
I mean, very rarely do bills die in this with our representatives in California. We have the supermajority in this state of Democrats, and they don't like these guns. They don't like us owning those guns, and they want the guns. And it's honestly a stupid thing to say that no one wants to take your guns. I am very well aware of people wanting and taking guns from citizens. So real quick, another bill, and this is something that I know Michael Schwartz will be interested in, and all of San Diego County gun owners and their members, but AB 1297 would essentially get rid of the cap on CCW applications, the fee. Right now there's a $100 application fee cap. This would get rid of that cap. And essentially, it would allow the sheriff or the police, whoever's dealing out the CCW, to charge a reasonable amount necessary to complete the processing of the application. So essentially, it's a way to price people out of getting CCW.
Right, because in Texas you can get it for $50. In Tennessee, I think it's $35.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in Texas, I just read that it may have even be down to $40 in some areas.
Yeah, I wouldn't be, and it just, and then I think to redo it, I think you just mail in the money and you get renewed. You don't have to go through any. Well, but you're right, but see, California, everybody, you got to be careful. California's a test bed. And if it passes in California, it's going east. I'm telling you. Michael, did you have a quick question?
It's not just east, it goes everywhere. Yeah, go for
it. We're at about like $160 as it is, which is probably the most expensive in the country. I don't know another municipality. It's pretty bad.
I don't know. It's just, it makes
sense. There's the initial application fee, and then there's some taxes and other fees separate from the quote-unquote application fee. So in San Diego, we're already paying, way too much for what we're getting. It's an absurd amount. This would only allow them to charge, whatever they wanted. And, to be honest, this is, in my opinion, it's in response because in San Diego, we put the pressure on the sheriff, and now they're handing out CCW because they can't hide behind good cause anymore.
Right.
A lot of other counties aren't able to hide behind good cause because they're also feeling pressure.
Sure. But they can charge us. They can charge you out of it. That's for sure.
Yeah. So now, fine. We'll say you meet good cause, but it's $500 for an application.
Right.
Good luck with that. So that's just another way that they're trying to, throw mud in your face, get in the way any way they can. Keeping you from exercising your right.
Hey, John, how many guns do you think gun owners or that have guns in California? Do you have a number, you think?
How many gun owners?
Well, how many guns do you think there are in California legally?
I mean, we have the largest population in the country. We have millions and millions and millions of guns in this state.
Didn't they just close the barn door? Didn't they close the barn door and everybody's out of the barn already? I mean, really, sure, they're going to go after the future buyers, but there's enough in California, that they'll never get to us, or I can't say never, but they're going to have to work really hard.
All of this stuff has to do with people who are legally buying things.
I know.
Nothing that I'm reading off that is to stop bad guys, because literally all of this is absurd. It has nothing to do with catching actual criminals. These are ways to pinch out, the law-abiding citizen who doesn't have tons of money to buy, parts or get a CCW app.
Yeah.
They're trying to keep everyday citizens from getting guns. And real quick, just pay attention. You also have AB 276 and SB 172. These would require firearms to be locked anytime the owner of a residence is even outside their home. And the kicker is if you violate this, it's a 10-year firearms prohibition in California.
Whoa. All right. Go away. Get off my radio show. You are the most negative. No, I'm only kidding. We love you.
People at the office.
Hey, without you, we wouldn't know all of this stuff. I'm telling you, brother, because the general public doesn't know because the media doesn't cover it. Nobody jumps up and says, hey, check out what Sacramento's doing now. No media outlet is doing that except this one.
Oh, of course. And when they pass, there'll be no notification of any kind to people, and people will be in violation of it without even knowing.
Oh, my gosh. All right, buddy. Well, folks, trust me, if you ever get yourself in trouble with a gun and you need a good lawyer, you will not get anybody better than Gatsky, Dillon, and Balance, LLP, joinfirearmslegal.com. All right, buddy, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And his website is cafirearmslegal.com, cafirearmslegal.com, or you can call him at 760-431-3501. If he's not changing diapers, he'll pick up the phone. Thanks, buddy. We're going to take a small break. When we come back, a whole lot more right here on Gun Sports Radio. I'm Dave. He's Lance. That's Mike. We'll be right back. FM 96.1 AM 1170. We are the answer. Folks, hey, welcome back. You're listening to Gun Sports Radio right here on FM 96.1 AM 1170. We are the answer. Hey, how can you make your AR rifle legal and keep your features? If you want your AR to have a pistol grip, telescoping stock, foregrip, and still have a detachable magazine, check out Cali Key. Whether you're buying a new AR or need to make your current AR compliant, Cali Key is a cost-effective, easy solution that will allow you to keep your AR compliant with future-proof your AR from all these horrible California gun laws. CaliKey.com. Go to KALIKEY.com. Tell them you heard it right here on Gun Sports Radio. All right. Hey, this segment is brought to you by the Gun Range San Diego. I call it the Nordstroms of gun ranges. Just not the price. Their customer service is impeccable. Whether you're a first-time shooter, medium shooter, heavy-duty shooter, or hardcore Marine, they will treat you just like family, and you will be totally amazed at the professionalism you'll get out of the staff at the Gun Range San Diego. 7853 Balboa Avenue, open 10 to 10, 7 days a week, almost 365 days out of the year. Go to thegunrangesandiego.com. Look at all the benefits. You can join their exclusive club. It's all right there. Right now we got Casey. He is their spokesperson from the Gun Range San Diego. How you doing, Casey?
Pretty good. How you guys been?
Yeah, just living the dream. How about you?
Keeping dry now that the rain's over.
Yeah, now you got to wax your car.
He's a neighbor of yours, Dave.
Are you up in Alpine?
Yeah.
Are you up in Alpine?
I am. Yep, I'm up in Alpine.
Remember, he was born in a Jeep in Alpine.
You live up on North. Hey, you're not up on North Victoria, are you?
No. I'm over toward Top Tool.
Did you hear we had an active shooting Saturday night?
I did. I heard something about that, yeah.
House arrest. It was my house, about 3 houses. It was right down the street from me. Yeah, first time I had a house arrest. It was amazing. I even took pictures of the tape. I'm going to save that forever. Only in Alpine. Hey,
I know, right? It's funny. Yeah. Alpine's quiet, and then sometimes, that's the funny part about it. It'll be real quiet and it's beautiful and serene, and then when something does go wrong, it's just something astronomical. Some major thing goes off, and you're like, geez, where's the balance here?
It doesn't need to be down the street from my house either. That's the terrible thing. Hey, so do I really need a holster? Can't I do it like the guys on TV and stick it in the back of my belt loop?
Magnum PI didn't need a holster.
I know. I was watching a movie the other day. A guy took a honking big, huge 911, stuck that in the back of his pants. He ran, jumped over trees and stuff. He never fell out.
Right.
Yeah, it's always funny when you see Hollywood and stuff like that. They stick it, tuck it behind their back, put their shirt over, and it's like, well, your pistol's going to go down your pant leg and possibly fall out when you're walking around. I mean,
and blow off your foot.
Exactly. So it really depends on what you're using your holster for. Like, here at the gun range, most of us are all armed, so we all have a variety of holsters. Whether you're going concealed carry, military, law enforcement, it's always good to have a holster on you. Like up in Alpine where I live, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. So most of the time I keep my gun on me just because, I have a big ranch, I have plenty of land. It's just nice to have that security on it. Since it's my private property, I can do that.
Yeah.
But it really depends on what's working for you. When it comes to, concealed carries and stuff like that, a lot of people keep to the Kydex ones with no locking or retention on that, which is a good rule of thumb. Because you want it as flat and as low profile against you so you're not printing. I mean, we have a lot of guys that their CCWs in here. And the Kydex ones are the best because they don't really fold or conform or anything. There are some leather ones out that are good. The ones I stay away from no matter what will be, fabrics and what like that. Because they're so flimsy and so pliable, anything bumps on it, so you bump a counter or something like that, who knows? That counter can hit the trigger and, put a nice hole through your butt.
Oh, no, thank you. I already got one hole.
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to the concealed carry, pretty much Kydex is like the dominating factor on that because there's so many options out there, so many lengths of it, how flat it is, thickness of it, and most of them won't have that retention on them like the locks. Because when it comes to CCW, if you were in a situation like that, your gun has to be out as quickly and as possible. On the opposite side of it, it still has to have that positive retention, so it's not going to just fall out. The Kydex are molded to your firearm, so it kind of has that pressure lock on it, but not necessarily normal locking. Now, the ones I use, I like Safariland. I've always used them. They've always been good for me. They have that good ALS system where it's just like a little kind of push button on the left side of the gun, so the instant my hand's on my gun, my finger's already on the lock, and it's ready to roll. I personally like retention when I have my gun on me in here, just for the reason, if, say, somehow, some way, some bad person comes in here and come up behind me, they have to know how to use my holster and get it out. So it'll give me that split second to defend myself.
Interesting. What about, okay, I'm going back to the movies, Steve McQueen in the movie Bullet, where he's got one of those holsters where it goes under, the straps go over each shoulder and the gun stays in your armpit.
Yep. So that's more of the older styles, because that was where the best most of the people that have those on there, they're wearing an over jacket or stuff. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to concealing it, it hides it very, very well, but it's kind of that cross-shot motion where it's kind of awkward. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to reach across, and if it's strapped or not, it's going to take a second to tug out there, and then you're doing this big swinging motion. Good for concealment? Yeah, it hides it pretty good. Is it more practical? With how technology is today, how the holsters work today, and how we understand the proper way or the best way to use firearms, most people, the big popular one is appendix carry right now, doesn't necessarily fit most body profiles. Like if you're thinner, yes, it does work. Me, I'm a bit bigger of a guy, so appendix doesn't really work that well for me, so carrying at the 4 o'clock position, which would be pretty much right on my butt cheek on the right side, that works good for me because it's kind of flat up and on my back and it doesn't print as much.
Dave, did you just reference Steve McQueen, Dave, by the way?
Yes, I did.
He did.
Well, I was trying to think of, I'm sitting here racking my brain. Okay, what detective? I was going to say James Bond, but I like Steve. He wears the same kind of holster system, where he goes 2 straps over each shoulder.
What about Barney Miller?
Yeah.
What did he?
No, Barney Miller can't even have a bullet. Are you kidding?
How about 50 Cent?
There actually is a modern day product. I don't know if you've heard of it, Casey. It's called Kangaroo Carry, and it was designed for air marshals. And it's a sturdy strap, and it goes about the chest level, and you carry it under your arm like that. It's kind of a modern day version of Steve McQueen.
Those, and it really comes down to, what body type and what clothing you're wearing. So with air marshals and stuff, most of the time they're wearing jackets or, they're trying to blend in as much and print as less they can. Plus, they're going to be sitting, air marshals, they're on the plane the whole time.
They're sitting
down.
Be
sitting down they're sitting down. So in a sitting down position, is it optimal to have your pistol on your hip, on your backside? Appendix? Not really. So I can understand the absolute practicality behind that because they don't have to adjust their body position. Their hand goes in and it comes right out, instead of having to roll to the side or something. kind of contort your body. So when it comes to situations like that, absolutely. If that's what it calls for, go with it.
Now, where do you fall on the Serpa debate with the yeah?
So
you already know. You already know what I'm talking about.
Some guys, we have a guy here that uses Serpa, and it works fine for him.
All right, what's a Serpa? Explain to the people that don't know what that is.
So the Serpa will be, Blackhawk brand. So basically how it is, you envision a holster. On the right side of it, kind of where the trigger goes in, there'll be a little button, and that is your release. So you have to press that and then pull the hole strap.
Gotcha.
Good retention. The downside of it is your finger is pretty much right where the trigger will be. So if you're not paying attention or trying to be too fast, you're pressing that button, pulling your gun out, and the pressure finger will slide up the gun, and your finger will land straight directly on the trigger the instant it's clearing the gun.
All right.
Now, is that how everybody's going to do it? No, not necessarily.
There goes your unit.
Yeah. So it comes down to that. The military, the Marine Corps, that's what we have. They have the Serpa ones. The military gets the cheapest thing out there. We didn't really use pistols that often.
Right.
The other thing they had is drop legs. I despise drop legs. Mine that I have right now that I'm carrying, I have a Safari Land. It is a drop leg, but it's mid-thigh. So it's only about 3 inches down from my actual hip, and it kind of just gives me a little bit more room to it.
Gotcha.
Other
ones going to try them all out.
Other ones will drop it down to your knees. And, you have to think when you look at it. Cool, you'll have, a retention band going around your thigh, but you have this giant piece of canvas going down, and all it does is not tight to your body. When you walk, that thing slams in front of your leg, back of the leg.
Yeah.
When you're running with it, it is just slapping around everywhere.
All right, so let me ask the important question. How many different holsters do you have at Gun Range San Diego people could come down and try out?
Got about, I would say 30 or 40. Depends, we got enough in here. But when it comes to that stuff, there's so many different brands of holsters out there to try and keep them all in product or in here so people can hold them. You just can't really do it.
Yeah.
So most of us guys in here, we'll show the customers like, hey, I run this one because it works for me.
Right.
We'll let people check them out and look at it. And then anything that we don't have in, we order it, comes in within a week.
All right. Thanks, buddy. You're the best. That's the Gun Range San Diego. We want to thank Casey. In fact, you'll be there till 10 o'clock tonight, folks. If you want to go down and check out his holster, it might fit you. Thanks, buddy.
Have a good one. Have a good one, guys.
All right. Hey, we're going to take a small break. When we come back, guess what? We're going to stump the nephew. He is sitting in the wings, and Michael's got a really tough question for Sam the Gunman right here on FM 96.1 AM 1170. The Answer. Folks, hey, welcome back. You are listening to Gun Sports Radio right here on FM 96.1 AM 1170. I'm Dave. He's Lance, and that's Mike. And hey, do you or any of your family keep a taser, pepper spray, firearms, or other weapons for personal protection? Do you have or are you going to get a CCW? Well, if you're involved in an incident, what is your plan to pay for bail and the expensive lawyer costs if you get taken to the Hooskow? Talk to the good folks at Firearms Legal Protection for as little as $10 a month. You'll have peace of mind knowing a 24-hour hotline and legal representation is there for you 365 days out of the year. That's Firearms Legal Protection at www.firearmslegal.com, or you can call them at 844-357-9400. That's firearmslegal.com. All right, Mr. Schwartz.
Here we go.
Well, real quick, I'd like to piggyback on that firearms legal deal real quick because board member Joe Dramisi, San Diego County Gun Owners, wrote a recent article and was highlighting an article a guy wrote that was involved in a shooting as a CCW carrier, and he was involved, and the upshot of it was that he really wished that he had some kind of protection.
Sure.
You have, even if you
some
don't...
kind of legal protection, right?
Legal protection. Even if you don't have a CCW, you should have some kind of legal protection.
Yeah.
You absolutely should.
Because it covers, no matter what, hands and bats and
everything.
Knives and
all that kind of stuff.
Oh, see, that's interesting. I thought it was just guns.
No.
So anytime that you're using a device to protect yourself or your family,
right,
which could be technically declared as a weapon,
yes,
you'll need protection.
And anytime you get sucked into the system, man, it's going to cost you money. Even if they eventually release you. And it's just silly not to spend, the couple $100 a year, even in hope you never use it. Hope you never need it.
There's so many crimes. I'm never going to rob a bank. I'm never going to do, there's so many crimes you can avoid. There's so many legal issues you can avoid. You decide whether or not you drink and drive, but to be involved in a defensive situation where someone is attacking you,
right?
You don't have a choice.
And they're going to tear you apart.
So you got to have some kind of protection.
It's a big deal. And you get this information, San Diego County Gun Owners.
Yep, on our blog section. Yep. If you're not reading those blogs, I got to tell you, Joe Germisi is putting out some of the best Second Amendment content on the internet.
I got to tell you.
You go to San Diego County GunOwners.com and then click on the big blue button that says blog. He's got a ton of information there.
Cool.
It's really
doing a great
good.
job.
Yeah. So anyway.
All right. Now we're going to get to Sam the Gunman. How you doing, buddy?
Here we go.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
By the way, thank you for the snow. It was all at 2 inches. I thought about you. And no, I did not shovel it. I let it melt.
Glad to hear it.
And we got them all squared away. Sam is coming to the charity shoot in a month.
Woo! How excited are you, my friend?
On a scale from 1 to 10, probably 9 or 10.
Nice.
Very good.
Well, and listeners could come meet him. So how can they sign up for that thing, Mike, if they want to get a table?
It's actually, they can't. Oh, that's Gun Prom.
Yeah,
he's going to the charity shoot.
The charity shoot.
He's going to the thing you're going to.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
But gunprom.com. Go to gunprom.com.
Gotcha.
I don't want to plug to go to waste.
Okay.
All right. So, Stump my nephew, Sam the Gunman. Are you ready for this?
I hope so.
Yes, I think you are. I think you're going to do just fine.
Making him nervous.
Todd in San Diego. This is a question about a guy named John Moses Browning. Are you familiar with that guy?
Who isn't?
Good. So he is. So Todd from San Diego points out that Mr. Browning is most famous, arguably, for inventing the Colt 1911. And I think a lot of people associate him with certainly with that, but definitely with Colt. So this guy, Todd, down in San Diego, he wants you to name at least one firearm that was designed by Browning for Winchester.
All right, Todd from San Diego. Great question. John Browning is something of an interesting character in the firearms world because unlike pretty much every other designer, he didn't go and get an engineering degree and, draw up his designs. He came up with designs in his head and he built prototypes and passed them off to engineers and said basically, hey, can you figure out how I made this? So while he was working for Winchester, he designed, of course, a lot of firearms. They were buying all his patents as he filed for them. One of the most notable being the Browning Auto 5. And for a long time, if you wanted a self-loading shotgun, that was what you got.
The Browning Auto 5. Drum roll. Let's see. Yep, that is made by Winchester. You're absolutely right. I got to tell you, there's doing some research, Sam. Mm-hmm. This guy, I didn't know this. He invented the 25 ACP, the 32 ACP, the 380, the 45, the 50 BMG. I had no idea. I knew he was obviously prolific, but this guy, he designed stuff for Savage, for Winchester, for Colt. I mean, he's just absolutely amazing, isn't he?
Yeah, for FN as well, after he moved to Belgium later in life and worked at FN where he designed the Browning High Power.
The Browning High Power. That's exactly right. Wow. Well, awesome job. How long do you know how much did he work directly for Winchester, or did he just sell these designs, or do you know how much about how that worked?
Yeah, when he was working for Winchester, and as far as I know, it was like this for every company he worked for, but when he was working for Winchester, he would come up with ideas. Like I said, he would just, get ideas and build prototypes. And every patent he applied for, Winchester had a deal where they would just automatically buy it. And not all the things he came up with and applied for patents on were good concepts, but Winchester didn't want to run the risk of one thing he invented becoming ubiquitous, so they were just buying the rights to everything he came up with.
They just bought everything off him, which is amazing. I mean, I'm just looking at a list of guns that are still in production by him, and there are dozens.
The M2, the 1911, of course, the high power, which used a linkless barrel, unlike the 1911, and it had a substantial number of changes, sort of a product improved 1911.
What does that mean, a linkless barrel?
As I said. What's that?
What does it mean, a linkless barrel? Is that what you said? What does that mean?
Yeah. So you know how in the 1911 it's got that swinging barrel link on the bottom that allows the barrel to tilt in, like your Glock, for example, because I know you love your Glocks.
I love my Glocks.
It just has sort of this wedge-shaped surface on the bottom of the barrel instead of a swinging link.
Oh, interesting. Look at that.
So now, Browning came up with that too.
Now, did you had no idea what question I was going to ask. You had no previous knowledge or anything. You have no preparation in front of you about Browning or anything, right?
All I've got in front of me is a San Diego County gun owner's glass filled with chocolate milk.
Nice plug.
Awesome.
That's a great answer. All right, Sam, awesome job. Couldn't be more proud to call you my nephew. You've redeemed yourself. You got a couple wrong there in the past. That's okay. You gave some great information here today. You got it right. Todd from San Diego is going to get a T-shirt from San Diego County Gun Owners. And if you're listening and you have a question to stump my nephew, just email us. Go to the website, SanDiegoCountyGunOwners.com, and email us, and we will see if you can stump my nephew.
We'll see you in Nevada in a couple of weeks, my friend.
Yeah, I look forward to it. And as always, thanks for having me on.
Hey, man, it could be really cold up there, by the way, so make sure, like 20-something degrees.
He doesn't know anything about cold.
I know.
Seriously.
I'm bringing
I've
shorts.
slept outside in sub-zero temperatures before. I think I
it's
can handle
blowing
it.
25 miles an hour.
This kid's tough.
Okay, I warned him.
Sam the gunman.
All right, Sam.
All right, thanks a lot, buddy. Say hi to the family. We're going to let you go.
All right, good night.
All right, folks. Hey, by the way, the gun prom is right around the corner.
Right around the corner, May the 4th.
Got any tables left?
We have tables and seats left. You definitely want to get in. We're looking for it's going to be 75 tables of 8, and I'm going to do some quick math. That's 600 people.
Yeah.
So there's still, we're a couple months out, but now is the time.
What are the levels for the tables? How much?
Basic table is one ticket, just one seat is $150 per person.
Okay.
Basic table is 8 seats. That's $1,200. But then we have tables that come with wine, and that's a diamond table. It comes with wine, a special gift for everybody. You get your name up on displayed. Thank you from San Diego County Gunners, that sort of thing. That's $2,500. If you're a 10-ring member, it's only $2,000, and that $2,500 comes with a 10-ring membership. So if you've been thinking about becoming a 10-ring membership, now's the opportunity.
And everybody should. I mean, you fight Todd Glory and all the craziness. Guys, come and support, have a good time, right?
Exactly right.
All right, folks. Hey, we want to thank all our sponsors, the San Diego County GunOwners.com, the GunRangeSanDiego.com, CAFirearmsLaw.com, FirearmsLegal.com, and last but not least, CaliKey.com, KALIKEY.com. Be safe, folks. Don't let the big man get you. Stay tight. Join San Diego County Gun Owners. We'll talk to you next week.
Gun Sports Radio is sponsored by Love Radio Network.